Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Welcome to the Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Foojan Zeine, a psychotherapist and author, and the creator of the Awareness Integration Theory. I'm so thrilled to have you join me today. And I promise you, this is a very, very interesting topic and insightful discussion. So in this episode, I chat with Denise Mange. She's a certified dog trainer, animal communicator, pet numerologist, and a founder of Pet Prana. Her mindful approach to pet training combines traditional training with energetic considerations of pet guardianship. So she's been featured in publications spanning from pet guardianship to conscious living and has appeared on numerous radio shows and podcasts. We're going to talk about her latest book, which is Translating Your Pet's Behavior. Learn what their behavior says about you. Yeah, you as the owner. To train smarter, not harder. This book has become the #1 bestseller in the category on Amazon, and you could actually get to know her better and her work at her website, petprana.com. It was a really interesting conversation. I love the book. There's so many interesting concepts about it, but more than anything, it's the relationship between your pet and yourself and how you could utilize that relationship in a way that is more like a mirror to you, and how you could not only connect and train your dog, but train yourself while you're training your dog. So I really loved our conversation, and I hope that you do as much as I do. And I learn as much as I learned from her. Now, be sure to subscribe to my podcast and my YouTube channel. Connect with me through my website, foojanzeine.com, any of my social media platforms. Go to Foojan app, and we got 31 areas of life that you could really look at. We have seen that people who are using it, they have about between 60 to 70% improvement in their life. There's also Mira, which is that AI chatbot, and it works from the awareness integration. So you can ask Mira anything you like, and it will answer you as if I did. So she sometimes answers so much better than me too. I look at her and I'm like, wow, all the things that I've said in all the videos in 30 years, she knows. We've given it to her, so she responds from that place. So I'd be really curious in what questions you guys ask and what you respond. So share your thoughts with me, and let me know how it was working with the app and the chatbot Mira, and any other questions that you have or people you want me to bring on to the podcast. So let me know. I'd love to hear from you. So without further ado, here is Denise Mange.
Listen up if you want to promote your personal growth and self-awareness. I found the Foojan app last month, and I have been absolutely loving it. I personally have never learned guided meditation, but thanks to this app, I now have learned incredible tools for my own stress relief and emotional self-awareness. Not to mention, there are self-evaluation tools and professional coaching available to utilize however your journey to self-discovery takes you. Join Foojan today and redefine your life one step at a time.
Do you wish to wake up one day and hit the life reset button? Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want by Dr. Foojan Zeine, helps you navigate crucial life areas, heal the past traumas, and cultivate fulfilling relationships and careers. Life Reset is your guide to a profound journey to reshape your life. Grab your copy on Amazon or Audible now and embark on a path to a more joyous and fulfilled life.
It is so nice to have you. Denise Mange is here with us today. Thank you for taking the time to be with me.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. And I love expansive conversations about transformation, new ways to look at life, new outcomes for all of us. So I know this is going to be a wonderful conversation.
I know I got your book, and it's like translating your pet's behavior. Now, I've had pets since I was a child. I've had dogs. I started with dogs. Then I also had cats, 2 cats, 1 Persian cat, and then a black cat with really beautiful, beautiful green eyes that would hide in the closet. And you open the door and it's only two green eyes. And then I had birds. I had cockatiels, parakeets. I had a rabbit. And, I did a full turnaround and landed again on dogs this time, just Pomeranians. So, going through your book, it was fascinating to me about how to kind of like be one with your dog. Just share this with you. When I got my Pomeranian this time, I went to the breather and I just sat, and she had these little puppies coming in, and then this puppy that I have right now, he came in and started looking at me and staring into my eyes, and for a long time the two of us just stared. And then my tears came down, and it's like, oh, he chose me. So beautiful. And to this day, he's 4 years old right now. He was also a COVID baby, so very much just in the house. We're all always in the house. It's this kind of like a feeling connection that has been beyond any other pet that I've ever had. So I just wanted to share that with you, and then give you the floor and saying, how come you created this level of kind of like understanding with the pets? It's a whole different experience to have that type of resonance with an animal.
I love that. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing what I call the meet cute, right? With our pets. I love hearing how pet parents found the pet that, came to them. Whether it's your situation where you just met them and there was that soulful recognition as you stared into each other's eyes, or, I get a lot of stories from pet parents who say, this name came to me, Ollie, and I just wrote that down. And then I was on the internet doing something completely unrelated, and this rescue dog with the name Ollie came through, and I just knew that was it. I love these stories because at the end of the day, they show how intuitive and open to the energy pet parents are. I also love your story that you grew up and had all these different kind of pets, whether it's, furry friends, feathered friends, scaled friends. All of our animal companions are here to kind of love us, but also teach us new lessons, new ways of being, new forms of transformation. And it's funny because you asked me, how I learned to translate pets' behavior. I'm the last person you think would be able to write this book. Growing up, I always loved animals. I had a huge empathic connection with animals, but I never had a traditional pet of my own. I never had a dog or a cat or a bird or anything. So, growing up, I would bring in like caterpillars into my room and hang out with them, or little roly-polies. So I'm a big proponent of no matter what animal is in your field, we're able to learn from their behavior, being around us, and just kind of sharing this planet with them. So basically, growing up, I didn't have a traditional pet. I followed a very corporate, path of, growing up, going to school, going to college. I started a career in advertising, worked in advertising for about 10 years. And one of the last accounts I worked on was Purina. So I knew that I loved pets. I loved talking about pets, the relationship of humans and pets. So when I got to the point in advertising where I was like, you know what? It's like dog years. This is a crazy grind. I got to get out of here. What's my next step? What am I going to do in life? And I was in New York City. So I said, well, I love animals. People always need a doggy daycare because people work crazy hours. Let me open one. And I figured if I was going to do that, I should learn something about dog behavior because I had no experience. A lot of people growing up with pets, just have that knowing of pets, their behavior. I had none of that benefit. So I said, all right, I'm going to take a dog training course so I can learn about dog behavior. So, I did the didactic part, and then I started to do the practicum hands-on, working with pets and their humans. And that's where I fell in love. I was like, I love looking at the relationship between pets and humans. And I love dogs, but I also love working with people. Not all dog trainers do. And I'm going to be a dog trainer. And so I did that for a little bit. I did the basic obedience, and I got very bored. And I was like, you know what? There's got to be more to life as a dog trainer. than just bossing dogs around and teaching them to sit and stay. And that's where my world opened up. That's where I opened up to animal communication, to a deeper understanding of how our pets start reflecting different experiences in our lives. And I can go into that a little bit more, but that was my path. It was a very non-linear path. I'm not like an innate dog person, but that actually helped me at the end of the day because I had to learn everything through adult eyes. It was a tabula rasa to understand the relationship between pets and humans.
When you said we learned so much, I remember, dogs taught me just pure unconditional love and loyalty. Cats taught me independence. I mean, it was amazing when she would come to me and it's like, okay, I'm done. I just need my space. And then she would just crawl around and go around. And then when she got angry at me, she would hiss at me. It was amazing, this communication. Like I would come home late and she would look at me and then like go actually and do her business on my bed and like, you deserve that. You came late. That's what's going to happen to you. And then my birds were like a total narcissist, which is like, oh, you're here? Come here. Pet me right now. And if you didn't, they would pick at you. It's like, hey, how come you're not catching on to this concept of you're here to take care of me, so go ahead. And it's amazing about, like you say, when you're looking and watching their behavior and how they relate to you and how they communicate so clearly what they need from you. And only if I'm aware and kind of connect with that relationship becomes a reciprocal relationship. But it's like their emotions, their needs are so out there and raw and clear, just clear.
I love that. That's so right. They have no pretenses. There are no social graces, right? They're not worried about being polite. They're not worried about social conditioning. They are here to interact with us, and they interact with us in so many ways, right? Not only by modeling behavior that we should kind of observe and learn from, like your cat setting those boundaries, or your bird being very specific about what it is, what you need. Our dogs tend to be better about supporting us emotionally and providing and reflecting back that nurturing. So, one way they communicate with us and they teach us is through modeling behavior. The other way that they communicate with us and teach us is by mirroring back our energy, our patterns, our behaviors as well. And that's what kind of got me into this more energetic connection that we have with our animal companions. Because when I started doing dog training in New York, I started realizing patterns emerging. So every time I was called in for like on-leash reactivity, right? For dogs who are barking on leash, reacting on leash, or just very scared on leash, I noticed that all the pet parents had something similar going on in their lives. Either they were between jobs, maybe they were between relationships, maybe they just weren't feeling very grounded in their life or their vision for their life. And so I started making note of that and realizing that, of course, the dog is having on-leash reactivity because they don't feel the stability from the human, and I started realizing, wow, going back to my training in high school where I became a Reiki practitioner, I realized that those universal themes of feeling grounded and stable and, feeling like I'm anchored in my reality and safe, those are issues of the first chakra. And chakras are just kind of energy centers we all have. We all have 7 major chakras, and they're each linked to different physical aspects of our body, but also emotional stories, kind of archetypical themes that we all go through in life, like safety, security, fear of loss, desire for intimacy. And so the cool thing about our energy centers and the 7 major chakras is our pets have the same 7 major chakras that are linked to the same theme. So when we're able to understand what theme is happening or what behavior is happening, we can understand how it's affecting us emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. So with our pets, on-leash reactivity became a sign for me to realize that, the pet parent might have some issues around safety, security, groundedness that we want to address. Because when we're working with our pets and they're mirroring that back, they're not going to shift their energy and their behavior until we do as well, right? Because if we're mirrors that reflect each other, we both need to make changes to see behavior, transforming into something that is more harmonious for us all. So that was one of the first ways that I realized that our pets, yes, model behavior for us, but they also reflect back what's going on in our lives so that we can understand it through a new lens.
So what you're sharing is that sometimes I can look at the behavior of my pet and look at it as a mirror effect of what's going on possibly with me or my dynamic or my relational dynamic that the pet, because sometimes, a pet is not just an individual pet, it's a pet of the whole family system. So sometimes it might give the cue of, okay, this is the whole family system, there's something going on with it. And then possibly with that to have the ability to tune in, to shift my space, my energy, my feelings, my thought process in order to have the pet also start thinking that way or feeling that way or behaving that way. Is that what I'm catching on from what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's exactly it. Our animal companions are some of the most intimate relationships in our lives, the most intimate and honest relationships, because there is no hidden agenda, right? They know us at our most vulnerable, they know us at our most joyous, and they join us in both places with no judgment. So our energy becomes enmeshed. And so if we believe that our energy is enmeshed and that they understand us on this level, then they act as mirrors and they reflect back to us our mindsets, our attitudes, our worldview, our habits, both the ones that are beneficial, that are really working well for us, but also some that we might want to look back at. And so through becoming an experienced traditional dog trainer, after working with thousands of clients, I mapped out exactly what each behavior, the common behaviors, on-leash reactivity, separation anxiety, unwanted behaviors like jumping, nipping, chewing, housebreaking accidents, even moments of transition when they cross over. I've linked what each of those behaviors reflect back in the human counterpart and what themes to start looking at. Because a lot of us are, yes, beautiful. Those are the seven.
I love this. It was like, wow, this was just such an amazing concept for me as I saw it in your book, because I've never seen this before. And I never even thought about it. And it was like, that wasn't even in my world. And then suddenly I saw this, looking at these different animals and how you have accessed the chakra. It's like, this is the human chakra, as you put in. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the seven chakras and where they are in your body. And then you talk about how the animal chakra is and how to relate those behaviors to which one of the chakras it is, and then kind of connected with your own. Is that what part of it is? How to connect those concepts? Okay.
That's exactly it. And the cool thing about the chakras is not only are they reflective, but, and maybe you have the perfectly behaved dog or bunny or parrot or fish, but maybe your dog isn't having any behavioral issues, but they're experiencing an issue in their tail or their hips. I can look at that chart and be like, oh, that's the first chakra, because it also associates with issues around the physical body, right? And so what I've done is I've mapped out exactly where we can draw those parallels, because if we understand what's going on with our pets, then we're able to shift our mindsets and attitudes to create change, not only with our pet's behavior, but if I'm better at setting boundaries with my pet, all of a sudden, I find myself better at setting boundaries with my family, with friendships, in a career, in an office setting. And this is so important, right? This is the true gift that our animal companions bring into our lives, is that opportunity for self-reflection and self-improvement. That's why I like to think of this philosophy as self-help for pet's sake, right? When we kind of bridge that gap between dog training and personal development, we're able to grow and transform, and our pets can as well.
Very much. I remember, for example, some of the behaviors as I was looking, and I got a trainer, and part of what I saw and came to is that I'm so involved in my work, and I come in and go into the office, or I come into my home office. And a lot of times my dog is communicating very clearly with me. I'm not noticing it. And then when I'm not noticing it is when, he just has to take care of himself one way or another. And he, does whatever he does. And then I come in and suddenly pay attention when something is wrong. And when it's wrong, then I'm looking at it, versus throughout the time, my dog was communicating. Yeah. Either, hangs onto the door or comes in and has a different types of the sound that is telling me whether he wants to go out, or whether he's hungry, or he just wants to, be pet. And all of those requests are so clearly communicated. I'm just not available to even look at it. First of all, I wanted to show you, look at this. Look at
He is adorable. Oh my gosh. Hello, Mr. Spock. What a perfect name.
Isn't it?
Oh, and he is just so fluffy and so sweet and so expressive, as you say.
Yes. Yes, very expressive. So I had to come to terms with, if I wanted to have a companion, I have to allow time to also listen. And this is what we do with any of the relationships. If you want any relationship to go forward, you've got to pay attention to the communication, let's say triggers or communication paths, where you could actually get to see where, what the two of you can relate. What are the times you can relax together? What are the times that, there needs to be a system where your whole household works. So I can definitely see that. But the chakras were amazing, especially the fish. Like, how did you come up with the fish one? It's amazing to me.
Well, that is pre-existing, right? We already knew that our animals had chakra systems. So what I really did was draw the parallel between the animals and the humans. So we get to kind of build on information that's out there. But going back to Mr. Spock, one thing that's really interesting is that as a very intuitive pet parent, you picked up on a theme that he's here to work with you, which is themes around the fifth chakra, the throat, which is communication. And so you're absolutely right. Mr. Spock is helping you with understanding the importance of communication, the back and forth, the feedback, the receiving, the giving communication, and actually understanding how important it plays in a balanced relationship. So I love that you're already picking up on these messages and lessons from our furry friends. That's exactly how we can, apply the everyday interactions into powerful transformation.
You talk about 4 questions that can help us, create a little bit more harmony and balance and expansion in our life with our pet. What are some of those questions that we can ask ourselves in order to create those harmony?
Great question. And I love sharing these because it gives you practical, tools that you can use in your day-to-day. So if you agree that your animal companions are here to, teach you certain lessons and collaborate with you on these projects, if you agree that your energy is enmeshed, then we can come to the conclusion that their behavior or what they're doing in a moment always has a message broader than our relationship with them. So these 4 questions are helpful to kind of uncover what those broader messages are, what they're mirroring back to us. So the first question that I have you or the first, part of the exercise is think of a behavior that your pet is doing, whether it's something you like, receiving licks in the morning, or maybe it's something that's frustrating you, like barking, right? Feel into that moment and ask yourself, where do I feel this in my body and how does it make me feel, right? So if my dog's barking, if I'm thinking of my dog barking at me, it might be that I feel like frustration and a tightness in my chest and throat, right? So that's the first step. The second thing you want to ask yourself is, where else in your life have you felt this way? And I might kind of feel into that and be like, you know what? I felt that way in the meeting, last week when we were going over strategy and I said something and nobody heard me, but then the person next to me repeated it and everyone's like, brilliant, that's amazing. I felt that same kind of constriction in my throat area. Then you want to ask yourself, when I felt that at the meeting, what's the belief that came up for me? What did I tell myself in that moment? What kind of came through? And it might be like, you know what? I'm never heard. No one ever listens to me, right? And then you want to think about, where did that mindset first start? What else does it remind you of? And it might be like, you know what? I remember feeling that way as a kid. No one ever asked me my opinion. Or, I try to share how I was feeling and it was just swept under the rug. Or another, experience or memory might come up. And then what you want to ask yourself, and this is very critical, is, do I want to change that story? Am I ready to change that narrative? Because sometimes I'm not. I'm still working through it. And I've worked with pet parents who are like, no, I'm not ready to give it up. But if you are, you ask yourself, what's a different story you can tell yourself in that moment? And so I'll come up with a new mantra. And it might be, I feel heard. My voice is important. I bring value, right? And so what happens is, every time your dog barks, or if you're in a meeting and you're feeling not heard, you can tell yourself in that mindset, my voice matters. I'm heard. I bring value. And that starts training your energy, training yourself to catch those moments where you've been in these disempowering mindsets and flipping it. And that way, if I'm working with my animal companion, if I come toward and approach training with that positive mindset, with I matter, little one, my voice matters, I need to be heard now, thank you. That's a very different energy than approaching the training with, why am I even doing this? My voice never matters, right? So we're retraining our energy to come through, but really helping us understand what it is that my dog is reflecting back. Because my dog barking, that's the dress rehearsal. What I get to do is take that learning, take that different energy, more of that energetic coherence, more confidence in myself, and I get to bring it to the boardroom. So that next time I say something, I'm going to tell myself, my voice matters. Okay, here I go. And I'm going to say it with more confidence. So when I work with pet parents, so many of them say, you're like my dog trainer, but you're also my life coach. Because everything I've learned with my pet, I've applied to my boyfriend or my family or my job. And that's the beauty of the lessons our pets bring, is it starts in our relationship with them. They're our dress rehearsal, but we get to apply it in every aspect of our lives.
What's interesting as you're sharing is almost like you're using that behavior as a tuning fork, where it tells me where I'm out of tune, and I can reflect and bring myself into a tune, and that would share with me. As you were talking and I was relating to what happens with me and my dog, and I realized that a lot of times I squeeze him. I just love him so much. I squeeze him. Or, I'm wanting to play with him, but he sleeps. So he has this growling concept that he just like growls at you, like, stop, this is my space, and don't butt into my space. And you could see, when I squeeze him, he'll just even snip it at me. And then he'll, and then when I stop, he'll see if I'm stopped. Mm-hmm. And then he'll come and lick, and it's like, good girl. So he's actually training me. And it's interesting to see like how much I've needed to definitely set boundaries and set my boundaries in such a firm way. And I have not done that for a long time. And as you were talking, it was like, yes, this dog has such an amazing boundary, knows exactly what it is. And then when you're crossing when you're in your own world and think he's an object, he tells you, I'm not, this is my space right now. Like, leave me alone. And it communicates in such an amazing way. And even in the behaviors that I don't like sometimes, he misses the timing and a lot of it has to do with me. And it shows to me again that my work balance and life balance is off. Because when mine goes off, that shows me that I'm not paying attention to him, and therefore he goes off and he behaves in that way. So I really love the way you share that this is so much of a reflection of who we are. And if we only looked at it from that place, instead of just disciplining our dogs and saying that they're a problem, we really look at how amazing of a mirror they are and how we could take that kind of a mirror effect and tune ourselves from that concept. Everyone, Translating Your Pet's Behavior by Denise and Mange. It's a mindful approach to dog training, and it's an amazing book. It really is, like you said, it's a very much of it's like a whole psychological platform to look at it and really self-reflect, not only to reflect what's outside, but take what is outside and kind of bring it into a self-reflection. Is there anything we haven't shared that you really want people to know?
Two things. One is our animal companions bring in such common sense spirituality into our lives. So the first thing I want to share that our animal companions use as a cardinal rule for us is it's not personal, but it's about you. So their behavior isn't acting out of spite or reacting to you or trying to punish you, but there is always something that you can look at and learn about yourself. The second thing that they want to share in terms of this common sense spirituality is the solution always lies in the problem. So if your dog is barking, how are you using your voice? If your pet is aggressive or over exuberant around guests, how do you perceive people entering your space? If your cat has a virus in their eye, something, physical, where can you perceive things differently in your life? So really ask yourselves those two things. One, it's not personal, but it's about me. What can I dig into deeper? What are they reflecting? And two, odds are the solution lay in the problem. What are they using? What do I need to use more of? And that becomes a really great way to kind of have a really beautiful, deep partnership with your pets.
Beautiful. Where can people find you?
My website, petprana.com. They can sign up for the newsletter or on social media at petprana across most of the social platforms.
That's so awesome. It's a beautiful book, everyone. I'm sure that you will not only learn about how to train your dog, but how to train yourself in a whole different way, and using your relationship with your pet in a way that you could really do a lot of amazing self-reflection, and then self-correction if it's needed, and self-healing if it's needed, and bringing all of it together. It's been a pleasure to have you. It's really looking at dog training and having a pet from a whole different perspective. That it's beautiful and it's useful and it's healing. And so thank you for doing that.
No, thank you for being a beautiful platform to share these ideas and for us all to step into new ways to transform and empower ourselves. Thank you.
And for all of you who are out there, create an amazing life for yourself, for your pet, and everyone around you. Until next week, bye-bye.
Are you a psychotherapist looking to enhance your practice? The Awareness Integration Therapy developed by Dr. Foojan Zeine is a comprehensive guide to the principle and techniques of this powerful therapeutic approach. Join the growing community who have elevated their practice and expanded their skills by embracing Awareness Integration Therapy and witnessing its life-changing impact. Order your copy on Amazon now.